So, Hunting Palismen, probably my favorite episode so far out of Season 2. In fact, I'm going to go as far and say that it was just as good, if not better, than some parts of Grom. Notice how I said some, because Grom is the best episode of the show. But still, Hunting Palismen was a pleasant surprise for the first 11 to 14 minutes. After that, well, it wasn't that solid. I guess it's true that if the final act isn't something as good, if not better, than the climax of the episode, it can really hamper and bog down what to me was an exceptional ride and a really compelling story. Anyway, let's get to the review so I can explain further. By far, the best part of this episode to me was the beginning. It was so fucking cool, with the lighting, the music, and the visuals really selling this grandiose feeling of, oh shit, it got real. It really upped the stakes for the rest of the series. You gotta love the amount of effort some of these designs got because they are oozing with character potential and I love it. But as much as I love these Coven heads, we gotta talk about Belos because he is so good. Not only is his voice work superb, but the animation is just so crisp. The music and the sound design also is just perfect. It really feels like it's something out of a movie, I'm not kidding. He just chews up the scenery because by comparison everyone else feels flat, even if they're not, because he is that good. After that scene we flash back to Luz, who is trying to get information out of the little rat. I'm glad they kept this rat for continuity because, well, now we know that it actually exists in the show with very little consequences. We're gonna get into that later, but still, glad it's there. Luz heads to school and they're gonna be picking out a new Palismen. Woo! But first Luz has to ask the important question, where's Amity? Well, we kinda know where she is right now. Probably screaming into a pillow. After some exposition, students at Hexside get to pick their own little Palismen, and again, continuity. Ida and Luz, respecting and treating the Bat Queen well, led her to give up some of her own Palismen who haven't had a companion in years. Like I said, I love it when shows come full circle and give characters a reason or a motivation to do things instead of it just happening. It makes previous episodes involving the Bat Queen that much more important. What if escaping the Palismen episode didn't exist, or what if Ida never babysat her kids? It would be weird for the Bat Queen to just show kindness and mercy just out of the blue, so I'm glad they took the opportunity to flesh it out and make a believable relationship, so her sharing some of her Palismen is something that she would do now as a favor because we got motivation for her to do so. Anyway, after the students get their Palismen, Luz is up for hers, but surprise surprise, she didn't get one because, well, she's not a witch, she is a human. A good conflict, albeit sort of predictable in the sense that, well, she's probably going to get a Palismen later on and it's probably going to be the most powerful one because she doesn't have magic or whatever. Anyway, still cool. Disheartened, she goes home with the sparrow-looking Palismen with the scar staying in Luz's bag. She takes the little bird back and resolves to name every single goal that she can achieve to desperately get the attention and approval of the other Palismen because she probably thinks that, well, maybe her Palismen's goals don't line up with hers or whatever. After some time, the Palismen get kidnapped because earlier it was revealed that Belos needs the blood or magic juice of Palismen to maintain his normal form, or else he would turn into this gooey mud monster. Apparently he got infected with wild magic, and that is why he's like that. The airship is being piloted by Owl Mask Guy or Golden Guard, or Hunter, I'm just gonna call him Hunter. So, he's whistling the show's intro while piloting the ship. That is not a joke, he is actually whistling the show's intro.
Ugh, him again.
Luz then overpowers him with the glyph, and that was the moment where I rolled my eyes and was about to pause and write down the usual, oh, Luz is OP, blah blah blah. But nope, we are shown again just how much power he has over Luz with him instantly taking control of the situation. But this is a fairly simple show, so of course Luz gets the upper hand and knocks his staff off the ship with an ice glyph. I'm not gonna say it's lame, but it's future foreshadowing for something to come. Anyway, let's continue. A hand dragon crashes the ship and Luz wakes up in a new area in the Boiling Isles. Finally, we get to see outside of Bonesboro, and like in the previous episode, seeing different locations makes the world feel so much larger, and the backgrounds and the coloring of this part of the episode is just amazing and does wonders for the world building. I believe the town is called Latissa, with its own branch of police and military force and its own people. It doesn't really feel like Bonesboro 2.0 and feels like Latissa has its own, well, unique identity that's separate from Bonesboro. which I like, it's really cool. After the crash, Luz wakes up to the Sparrow Palismen breaking her free of her restraints. After the twist of, oh, Kiki orchestrated the hand dragon attack, oh, the Golden Guard is there, blah 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 blah, we finally get to see Hunter's face. I love the fact that upon observation, he is about the same age as Luz, and with this we can assume so many things, like Belos either kidnapped him or indoctrinated him at an early age and raised him as the Golden Guard, explaining why he calls Belos uncle when talking to him privately, which is very endearing for his character but doesn't necessarily excuse his manic or sadistic behavior in previous episodes, but gives us context to why he's so desperate for these Palismen. After this, Luz tries to get the attention of Hunter and try to talk to him, but he's clearly ignoring her and is making his way to the Letissa guards. After some failed attempts to alert the police, which is a cool detail because, well, every police in these different districts don't necessarily know the ins and outs or even the basic recognition of the Golden Guard, which is Hunter's tattoo. It's seen as a joke, and both are ignored and shooed off by the police. After an intense chase scene between Luz and Jean, where he tries desperately to get his staff back, which again proves that even without his staff, he truly is Belos' right-hand man with amazing physical ability, so much so that he doesn't even need it to catch up to Luz. It was also revealed that he can't use magic in a very, very tense confrontation. In this confrontation, we are showed that Hunter isn't just stupid, he is incredibly smart and breaks down Luz like a molecule. While at this very moment she really can kill Hunter or incapacitate him, she doesn't do it because Hunter knows for a fact that if she's willing to save these weak little Palismen, she isn't just going to shoot somebody like that. He takes advantage of Luz's kindness. After displaying how big his balls are, they both have a temporary truce and resolve to stop Kiki. Pause. This is the moment where the episode fell apart. Not because the truce doesn't make sense or them being friendly to each other is bad, it's just, well, the endgame that comes because of this doesn't make any sense. So both Luz and Hunter bond over their love for studying magic, which is cute, but it isn't enough to betray your surrogate father, right?
I thought you might have been a good guy, but I guess that was just wishful thinking. You're not my friend. You're just the Golden Guard.
My name is Hunter.
I, again, paused this scene and I hoped they wouldn't go this route. I hoped that they would have more ambiguity in Mr. Hunter's actions, but nope. Hunter is now a misunderstood good guy. Remember in Separate Tides where he acted like a crazy powerful brat with a lot of skills and up so that he can kill Ida, the most skilled and powerful witch in the Boiling Owls, like this? Remember in Escaping Expulsion where in Belos' steed he purchased every weapon from Blight Industries? Remember that? Well, now Hunter is a nerd, and I don't get it. It doesn't make sense for Hunter to let Luz go when he's only known her from what I am assuming a couple of hours, judging by the ending of the episode taking place the next morning. Let's put Hunter's motivation under a microscope. As explained by him, Belos saved him from a life of abuse and misery. He gave him food, a home, power, something that his family lacks. Belos gave Hunter trust that no one else ever did. So when it was his mission to capture Palismen to help his surrogate father maintain composure, even if he was scared of him, why in the hell would he risk everything that he's built for just one human, a human that he's known for maybe 3 hours at most? That's not to say you couldn't do this scene justice. You can. You definitely can. What if, instead, I want you to imagine this, he captures Luz once he gets his staff back and apologizes to her before leaving with the Palismen. Feeling guilty for what he did, he goes far away with the dragon and enters the forest alone. He is shown visibly confused and conflicted. Should he give the Palismen to Belos or secretly study them to find a cure? Though, because Hunter is kind at heart, he lets them go, except the Red Sparrow follows him and in turn becomes his Palismen. A dark scene would imply him giving the Palismen to Belos, but instead it was revealed that it was a flashback to a simpler time where Belos was less unstable. This would clash with the reality of Belos now reprimanding him for his failure and having a tantrum where he turns into this mud creature and almost kills him. Or injures him a little bit, I don't know. Then he's shown walking to his room, trying to keep something quiet. He then enters the room and gets the Palismen out of his pocket, and the Palismen in turn turns into a staff. Hunter puts it in a cage and starts testing on it for a little bit, but it also hints that Hunter has a kind side to him because he gave the little bird a name and is making sure he's in good condition. The episode ends with him holding onto the Palismen, looking outside of his room and feeding it very carefully while slowly grinning. Is it out of love for the Palismen? Or is it because he knows he can do something to help his surrogate father? While there are many problems with my solution to the ending, I felt that it made more sense for Hunter's character, and as a way to raise the stakes even further and emphasize character complexity, with Hunter being, yes, kind at heart, but still motivated by his familial love to Belos. Instead, what we got in the real episode was a basic, oh, I feel bad, I'm a good guy, I'm going to let the Palismen go because you called me a bad person. It doesn't feel rushed or badly paced. In fact, this episode was incredibly solid until this point. So the issue is just the writing for this scene. Hell, all you needed to do was make Luz lose. Let's do a general review before we end this video. Surprisingly enough, the pacing wasn't actually a problem for this episode, as events happened in a very orderly and natural fashion. I'm a big fan of this approach, as you can tell because I complain about the pacing in almost every single one of my reviews. Another thing I failed to mention is Ida and King going to find Paliswood. I'm very glad this wasn't a B plot because it ruined the solid flow of events, with it breaking every so often to focus on said B plot, so I'm very glad it was more of a bookend, and a good one at that. The lighting, the overall tone, and dialogue was really sweet and insightful. It was probably one of the more simpler scenes of the show, but one of the most honest. I like the idea that Luz can't get a Palismen naturally, so she has to make one herself. She has to work harder. It's cool to have that as both a conflict and a way to signalize growth. As throughout the rest of the series, I really would like to see the Paliswood changing in every other episode. Slowly looking like a Palismen familiar, or one of those little animals. I don't know, I think it'd be really cool. I can't really think of any negatives for this episode apart from the uncharacteristic ending with Hunter. I'm stumped, so let's just list some of the positives, I guess. The opening scene was incredible, down to the sound design. Hunter as a character for the most part was written really well, and his voice work really endears you to him, and it was overall a great performance. Even Luz in this episode got to shine, with her getting some pretty funny lines and overall being a good protagonist, which is kind of rare, as in my opinion, Luz as a protagonist has the potential to be exceptional, but comes off as either bland or kind of annoying. This season overall makes Luz a much better character, and I'm happy this episode really gave her the time to shine properly. Anyway, thanks for watching this rather short review, and I'm glad I'm leaving this episode with mostly positive feelings. I hope it keeps doing that, so anyway, see you later, I guess.